You know how I always say I help you find your voice in European Portuguese by listening first? Well, today I'm going to review how a few brave Portuguese learners, Kato, Anthony, Joseph, Tapinawashe, Adio, Denise, Paula, and Jacqueline, pronounced 5 sentences not to check their pronunciation. Of course not. I'm reviewing their recordings to check how well they know how the Portuguese speak. Look, I know understanding us is most likely your biggest struggle. The thing is, there are patterns as to how we speak. If you're unfamiliar with them, check my free Listen to Portuguese masterclass after this video. The link is below. The way we'll do this is, I'll go sentence by sentence. You'll see it on the screen and try to pronounce it yourself, I hope. And then I'll use some of the audios I received to point out things that need improvement and why, and what is sounding nice and clear. The first sentence is, Anthony, an English native speaker, pronounced it this way.
O restaurant está vazio. O restaurant está vazio.
Anthony, in restaurant you said res, but it should be res. We don't pronounce the E's that are not in the queen position. And I also think ow needs to be more audible here. Au restaurant. The last word was mispronounced by a lot of people because you forgot about the queen. How could you? But this is a special one actually, because the ziu has 3 syllables. The, zi, u. You should watch out for this because it is possible to have a syllable made out of 1 letter only. This means the queen is in Z, so the correct pronunciation is viziu, viziu. Paula has taught English, is a native English speaker as well, and knows Spanish, and has even passed A2 in Portuguese. Let's listen to her recording.
O restaurante está vazio. O restaurante está vazio.
Here, viziu was great. The queen was in the right place, but because, Paula, you speak Spanish as well, the E's were a bit too audible, both in restaurant and in estar. Well, actually, the same thing happens in another audio. It's restaurant, estar. Still, it was a really good audio. Kato has passed A2 as well and pronounced this sentence this way.
O restaurante está vazio. O restaurante está vazio.
The first E in restaurante should be mute. It's tempting to pronounce a word that is similar in your native language with the queen in the same spot, but you'll be understood if you pay attention to where we put the queen in Portuguese. Restaurante, the penultimate syllable. It also sounds like you need to go to the R workout gym. That harsh R sound doesn't exist in English, but if my unschoolers manage after a week of practice, so can you. There is hope. The queen was also off in viziu, as we've seen before. One thing I haven't mentioned is that the A at the start needs to be closed, because it's a mistress. So we should keep more quiet about such syllables. Viziu. The second sentence is... Let's listen to Paula first.
Amanhã de manhã vou à ginástica. Amanhã de manhã vou à ginástica.
A small thing here about how Paula pronounced the G in ginástica. It sounded more like a J, as in Joe, but there shouldn't be a D sound there. Ginástica. An unschooler of mine had an issue with this sound when pronouncing João and Joana, which are common names here. Kato did the exact same thing to the G, but she also did something I hear a lot, which is forget that Portuguese should sound Russian. What I mean is, hopefully you've encountered the verb estar, right? So that should be your reference. And S before T sounds like sh. That's precisely what we have here. Ginástica. But a lot of people will say ginástica. Now listen.
Amanhã de manhã vou à ginástica. Amanhã de manhã vou à ginástica.
As for the first word, Kato, you also forgot about our beloved queen. Amanhã has that accent at the end, so you should put the stress there. I mean, by stress, I mean the queen. Think of it as the queen wearing a hat like English women do at weddings, so as to warn us that she's changed places. A lot of people pronounced amanhã, de manhã as three very distinct words. Even if they were well pronounced individually, one after the other, this is what we want to get to at some point. Amanhã, manhã, one sound. This is what I call a king. Now, Jacqueline is Dutch and managed this perfectly. Listen.
Amanhã de manhã eu vou à ginástica. Amanhã de manhã eu vou à ginástica.
The third sentence is... Let's listen to Kato first now.
Estou até que é fácil. Estou até que é fácil.
This was an interesting one because Kato, for example, you put the queen in sil when it should be fa because the accent is there. But you did open the A, which is good. It's fácil, fácil. As for the beginning, you also did something that is very common in people whose native language makes a distinction between long and short vowels like English, German, Dutch, Swedish, Hungarian, at least as far as I know. The word até needs to have an open E at the end, yes, but it's sharp and it's short. We don't really have long and short vowels, but open or closed instead. Até. I know it's tempting to make it long, but not here. There is a particular instance that we do it, but that's too much detail for now. You can watch my free Listen to Portuguese masterclass if you're curious to know more. Denise's audio shows the exact same thing. Now listen.
Isto até que é fácil. Isto até que é fácil.
Audio is Swedish, and let's listen to her.
Estou até que é fácil. Estou até que é fácil.
The queen is also off in fácil, but there's more. It seems you kept the tip of your tongue, the top of your mouth for too long on the L. I think the dark L only exists in some dialect in Sweden, but it might still be good to check out my light and dark L video. It's fácil. Only Jacqueline did something which is very, very native. I call it a marriage with a child. Notice how she added a sound, E, in between K and E.
Estou até que é fácil. Estou até que é fácil.
But Jacqueline, you should have pronounced the A in até here. I know we skip it a lot, but it happens in the expression até já or até logo. Até já, até logo. Sentence number 4 is... Let's look at Denise's audio first.
Elas pendem sempre o mesmo. Elas pendem sempre o mesmo.
What stands out is that the final E in sempre should have been mute, simp, and the O in mesmo should have been U, short, almost inaudible. Mesmo. Tapinoashe, if that's how you pronounce your name, is a native speaker of Shona, a language in Africa, and this is how she pronounced this sentence.
Elas pedem sempre o mesmo. Elas pedem sempre o mesmo.
In pedem, you did something extremely common, but if you don't fix it, we might have trouble understanding you. In verbs conjugated in the third person plural, the ones that end in un or ein, a lot of people put the queen there. But if you know the rule, you should remember the queen is in the penultimate syllable. This means it's pedem. Notice how the first E needs to be open. Pedem. I had also trouble understanding if you were saying eles or elas, which is an important distinction. We say eles and elas. The first E's are very different here. Kato?
Elas pedem sempre o mesmo. Elas pedem sempre o mesmo.
You also missed on the queen in pedem, but the difference was that you closed the first E, which was really clever. But then, it does make sense. Except the queen is in the first syllable, pedem. And watch out for the first E in eles, as I just mentioned. It's not eles, it's eles. There were other good audios for this sentence, but I think Jacqueline's was a bit more successful in not taking a break between sempre and u. Listen.
Eles pedem sempre o mesmo. Eles pedem sempre o mesmo.
Sempre o mesmo. Since we don't pronounce final E's, it's just easier to marry that word to the next one when it starts with a vowel. These small, and you might say nerdy details, is what will take your Portuguese to the next level. Okay, the last sentence is... I know people hate the verb to forget in Portuguese because it seems really hard to pronounce it. Let's break it down. Es equals to sh here, and you already know this because of estar, as I've said before. QUE equals que. The E is open because this is where the queen is. C plus a final E is s. And then we have S plus a final E, which also equates to s. So what we do is we just repeat that sound. S. Or make it longer. S. Esquece. Joseph is a native English speaker who knows French and Italian. His audios have been really good so far, but here there are really important things we can learn from. So let's listen to his audio.
Ele esquece sempre de apagar a televisão. Ele esquece sempre de apagar a televisão.
A lot of people struggle with the combination of s, sh, and j, especially if they come up in the same word or king. Here we have sh in ush, yes, and then s in ce. Joseph carried on with the sh sound though, and didn't really pronounce the pronoun attached to the verb. Another thing was the queen in televisão. By now it should be clear it's in são, because of the hat the queen is wearing. This means the E's in the word will be mute. Televisão. What you did, Joseph, was perfectly understandable since in English, your mother tongue, the queen is in televisão. Television. The word was chosen on purpose. Aria, you pronounce que as que. Just listen.
Ele esquece-se sempre de apagar a televisão. Ele esquece-se sempre de apagar a televisão.
The QU combination is something you need to pay attention to, because it can change. Now, Paula, because of the Spanish influence, you pronounce the E's too much. Listen to the difference.
Ele esquece-se sempre de apagar a televisão. Ele esquece-se sempre de apagar a televisão.
Ele versus il. Esquece-se versus esquece-se. And televisão versus televisão. The nasal sound was great though. This video I made a while ago talks about the queen, and in it I share a really cool trick, specific for people who already know Spanish. Another thing you might have noticed was that you pronounce the CE combination as che instead of s. Esquece. Esquece. If you'd like me to review your pronunciation next time I make such a video, do this exercise yourself, but with different sentences, of course. I'll leave a link below. Obrigada a todos que mandaram os áudios, foi muito corajoso da vossa parte. Espero que as regras de pronúncia em português estejam mais claras. A vossa voz em português é importante. Um abraço e até à próxima.